The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, Episode 6, the finale of the series, is said to be an emotional tearjerker to end Rick and Michonne's story. Despite the show being called The Ones Who Live, it has ironically killed off more than most of its new characters, including Jadis. With that being said, and the series only having one episode left to conclude itself, who are the final candidates we can expect to die in some capacity? Well, from what we've been given, we can make some educated assumptions that look like they'll turn out to be true. For a quick message before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel for much more The Walking Dead content. And be sure to check out my last video where I go over and discuss how I think this show will end and the major twist it will entail. We're extremely close to the final episode's air date, it's just tomorrow. So also be cautious of any spoilers floating around on social media, especially if you're not an AMC Plus subscriber. I'm gonna waste no time and I'm gonna start this video off pretty strong and presumptuous by saying Pearl Thorne is a likely candidate for death. I say this because since episode 1, we've been watching her slowly transition more and more into someone who believes in the CRM and is fully involved with their plans. She's a strong, defiant leader, making her someone who would have never gotten into consignment if it wasn't for Okafor, and now here she is as a command sergeant major. After she received the echelon briefing from Beale and was promoted, there was a really visible change within Pearl. Whatever that briefing contains, as we'll learn in episode 6, it's world-rocking. She tried to step up as an Okafor figure to Michonne, as he did initially with her and Rick, but she was prepared to kill Michonne. Later in that same episode, episode 3, we had this parallel to Shane, where Pearl was aiming down her sights at Michonne, just before Rick stepped in. If you remember that scene with Shane, it was Rick he was pointing the gun at, with Dale witnessing the whole thing from the sidelines. Because of that parallel, I think we may actually get a Rick and Shane type scene between Rick and Thorne, where Rick is forced to kill her, and there's a lot of evidence pointing towards it. We know Scott Gimple loves to foreshadow, give callbacks, and is heavy on parallels. We've seen the close friendship between her and Rick over the course of this season. They've been able to confide in each other and both had someone on the outside they loved who they ended up getting separated from because of the CRM. Rick and Shane, of course, had a near unbreakable friendship. However, it was one woman that ruined that friendship. And that woman was the wife of Rick. You see where I'm going now? I think there will be a twist where, instead of Pearl trying to kill Rick, she'll learn of their relationship and figure out that this woman is the woman Rick had been trying to get back to. From there, she'll try to take out Michonne, knowing she's an unauthorized person disguised as a frontliner. This will lead to Rick killing Pearl, with no other choice if he wants to protect Michonne. It wouldn't be as emotional as it was between him and Shane, but there would be some felt pain, especially if they build her up a little more in this last episode. Don't get me wrong, I would love for her to survive. Pearl Thorne has been a pretty interesting character and a great inclusion to this universe. Leslie Ann Brandt has been doing a fantastic job and she's absolutely gorgeous, I love her. But the chances of her going are extremely high. Next on my list is going to be Major General Beale. For this death, we have a lot more information supporting it, although I'm still 50-50 as of right now, and I'll explain. The promo images for episode 6 show Rick sitting here in Beale's office, and we know it's Beale and his office from the other picture and even the teaser trailer. So this will be the scene here where Rick gets the echelon briefing and is promoted to Command Sergeant Major, hence why we'll see him in the red frontliner stripes later on in the episode. In front of him on the desk, we can see what seems to be Beale's sword, originally first seen in episode 3. Rick will have to swear on the sword, probably the CRM's oath, and then he'll be promoted. At what was the funeral for Donald Okafor, Beale gave an awful lot of backstory on the sword and how he came into possession of it, and how he used it during the Battle of Philadelphia, which occurred during the start of the apocalypse between the Pennsylvania National Guard and the US military. So it has some extreme significance to not only US history because it was used during the Civil War, but also to Beale himself as it has saved his life, as he once said. But in this promotional image here, That's the same sword on Michonne's back. Beale wouldn't leave that sword somewhere in the open, and he wouldn't easily part with it, so I'm left to assume they get into some kind of fight of their own, and Michonne gets the sword, most likely from killing him. The sword saved his life at the start of the crumble of society, and now it kills him at the start of rebuilding society. That could be another poetic parallel, but I want to stress that killing him off would be a very stupid decision on the part of the show. Since Season 2 of World Beyond, the characters had been ominously talking about and hyping up Major General Beale, as if he were the be-all end-all of the CRM. We also met his son, Mason Beale, that season, only further building up the anticipation of seeing him on screen. Then we got the casting news of Terry O'Quinn, known for playing John Locke in Lost, to portray Beale, and I was extremely excited. They have a big-name actor who can perfectly be a villain for this role, yet he's been criminally underused. I get that this is a love story between Rick and Michonne and that the CRM is only a backdrop, but I so wish we got more of Beale. Episode 6 does seem to have a promising amount of screen time for him, but I do fear it's the last we'll see of the character. If the CRM is to remain a looming threat in the Walking Dead universe, possibly saved as the big bad for a future crossover show, Beale would be the perfect villain figure to be leading them. Many people have been saying the Thanos of the Walking Dead, and that would be perfect. Terry O'Quinn is capable of being that menacing threat that's bigger than life. Let's see it. Let's make it happen. It would be awesome if the finale just gave us a taste of Beale's power and political pull within the Force, and then save that for a future event where we see something like the Commonwealth go up against the CRM. Because, let's be real, if we don't see a conflict like that, it would be the biggest missed opportunity this franchise has ever done, and they've done a lot like that. There's not any other named characters to give death predictions to following Pearl and Beale. This show has been relatively secluded in that field. Okafor is gone, all of Michonne's group, Jadis now. Nonetheless, there will obviously be mass casualties because I do think Rick and Michonne are going to blow up the Military Leadership Summit. As stated by Okafor, all the top CRM commanders and every CRM senior officer will be at the summit in order to officially open the Cascadia Forward Operating Base, which means it's a perfect opportunity for the duo to wipe out some of the CRM's top dogs. We haven't met any of them yet, or so we think, although it would be extremely cool to see some characters from World Beyond who were previously soldiers or lieutenants ranked up and now present here. It would also be awesome to see Silas Plaskett again, but for now it's wishful thinking. Moving on, looking at the two characters left remaining, we have Rick and Michonne. Will they make it home? Will they at least survive, or will one of them die in their heroic mission? The recent buzz from fans online is that Michonne will be dying in some capacity. A lot of people seem really convinced on that. With Rick having been gone for so long, leaving us fans deprived of him since 2018, I cannot imagine him possibly ever dying in the show. And honestly, I feel like Michonne has an extremely low chance of dying as well. It would make this show a tragedy, and that's not what they're going for. It's supposed to be a love story. But with that being said, I do think we're in for some kind of shock or twist ending. As I've mentioned in a previous video, it would be just too easy if they ended up getting back to Alexandria. Everything they've been through has been so simple up to this point, so for them to get home, no problems, yeah, it doesn't happen in The Walking Dead. That's what I'm sure we all want to see, them getting back home. But considering the Alexandria set has been dismantled for over a year, we won't be seeing the community as we once did. Now, I do know for a fact that the Commonwealth set stood up for a much longer period after filming, and it may still even be there, I'm not sure. But it was up for a long time, even after AMC filmed The Ones Who Live. Therefore, there is a chance we'll see Rick and Michonne reuniting with Judith and RJ in Union Square. Speaking of Judith and RJ, and if they'll appear, I really don't want to say they will because I don't want to get mine or anyone else's hopes up. Everyone wants to see the family reunite. They've been separated for way too long. The Walking Dead has a habit of missing out on great opportunities though. While I enjoyed season 11 at first, it's so disappointing they never made a connection between the Commonwealth and CRM. Like, come on, that's just a brain-dead move. Season 11 also felt really cheap. The Commonwealth was so small and isolated compared to the comic series. That's why I wouldn't be totally shocked if Judith and RJ didn't appear. However, we did see Gabriel Stokes in episode 5, and he's not as crucial to the duo's story as their own children, so again, that's something that does up their chances of appearing. And also, as I said earlier in this video, it would be great to see Silas Plaskett from World Beyond, or even learn what happened to some of the kids from the show, maybe get a mention of Elizabeth Kublik, just the simple stuff like that. I would also love to see more characters from the main show pop up at the end, maybe Aaron, Ezekiel, Mercer. That's more in the territory of wishful thinking, since we may never get to see Rick and Michonne actually go home. We can keep our fingers crossed until tomorrow though, you never know. And that's going to be it for today's video. I did this type of video for the season 11 finale, so I just had to do one for this show. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts, theories, and predictions are for the conclusion of this epic love story and who you think will die. Do you think I'm right on the money, way off, or in the middle? I think this may be my final The Ones Who Live video before the finale, which I'm watching on live television with some friends tomorrow night. And I just want to mention what an incredible, exciting ride it has been. No matter how it ends, if it's good or bad, we got to go on an incredible journey together with the characters we love the most. And now we get to see how it all concludes for them. But depending on the ending, keep an eye out for an official AMC announcement regarding a second season or another spin-off show. Thanks everyone for watching, stay safe, and have a great day.